It's moving day in AFL trade period. After 9 days of posturing, the clubs have finally stopped sitting on their hands. They're getting things done. Got all the latest action here on the Code AFL show. My name's Ed Burke. I'm joined by Josh Barnes and Glenn McFarlane.
Ed, you telling me that things are actually happening, or are we just talking about it?
Things are beginning to happen. There is a semblance of movement. I think there's a bit of excitement.
It's game on. Come on.
Deals could be done.
28 hours and counting. Here we go. From the moment that we're recording this, it's game on.
Are you cutting out the no contact or the embargo at the start of
the pretend?
Wednesday?
Yeah,
nobody would talk in that time, would they?
Nah, not at all. No, not at all. It's not set up for theatre, is it? I didn't think it was, but no, it is always interesting, isn't it?
It is. They should get everyone to hand their phones in during that little period at the start of the
Good
final
point.
day.
What would we do to keep us amused if there was no phones? We couldn't look at our phones while we're sitting in the lockout stage.
Completely lost. Existential crisis. One of the first big deals that looks on the precipice. Could it happen on the final day? It's Zack Merritt. Hawthorn has put in an offer now. Josh, what do we think of what the Hawks have offered up? And do you think Essendon accepts that?
I'd say they don't accept that at this stage. So they've got pick 9 on the table, a future first, a second round pick, which would be either this year or next year, and then a third potentially, or a player like Henry Huswaite.
Yeah, and Henry Huswaite's an interesting scenario, and obviously we've all been dealing with both of these clubs, and they've been pretty strong in the fact that Hawthorn just want to get this done. They've obviously put Zack Merritt out there that he's met. You don't try and enter into these sort of chats with people like Zack Merritt unless you think you can get a deal done. That's the most important thing. So, but the Bombers, their current situation at the moment is our position has not changed. So they're pretty steadfast is that they want more, Barnesy. Henry Huswaite has been a very good VFL player, and every time he steps up, he hasn't been able to quite do that. Mind you, he might be a top 15 sort of player at the Bombers, you would think, in that regard, wouldn't he, if he can get there? But at the moment, the Bombers, they would really like, they obviously want Zack to stay if he possibly could, but what they do want is they want a player of more, more experience and a bigger player in a sense to actually get this deal done.
The Bombers have been so strong in their stance that they're not letting Merritt go. Why hasn't it got to a point where they've gone to Hawthorn and named a player and said, give us Josh Weddle or it won't happen? Could get there.
Yeah, but it's an interesting scenario. I think what they've wanted to do is not speak to Hawthorn. They've just pushed this to the side. There's a lot of angst, as we know, in this deal. So it's going to be fascinating to see. Tipping this could be if it does go through, it's the last one. Thinking back to what was the last one last year, Barnesy, might have been Jake Stringer that looked done and dusted earlier in the day, and then it gets done right at the final moment. Yeah. So do you reckon this one gets done?
Well, that was going to be my question for you, Mac, because when Essendon says to you, our position has not changed, is that a literal our position has not changed, he's not been traded, or is that a Charlie Curnow-esque, we don't want to trade him, but it's possible now?
I think it's stronger than Charlie Curnow-esque because we've seen their language move from Carlton. We certainly haven't seen any language move from Essendon. They're obviously believing that if Zack Merritt does go through and there's no trade and he stays an Essendon player, that he's professional enough to walk back in and to go through the exercise. But what will happen is that in 12 months' time, we might be just kicking this can down the road and it might be a Clayton Oliver situation where at 31 he's not as much as he is now. So I would like to hope for everyone's sake that it just gets done. Whether that transpires at the moment, I think it's very much line ball. I think Hawthorn think this is a fair deal. Yeah. And what else do they? Josh Weddle's not going to be a part of it unless something like that happened. And it's clearly not. I don't want to get you upset here, Ed, but it's not going to happen. So, and as far as so that's where I think Essendon, they'll have a think about it. They have been really strong. We read again with Andrew Welsh on the weekend, the new president, basically saying that it ain't going to happen. So it's two clubs banging heads up against the wall, but at least now we've got an offer in place and it's somewhere, we can actually go somewhere from here now.
Yeah, the Huswaite side of things. So he's a player that's sort of been thrown into this. He isn't desperate to leave Hawthorn, but he's willing to, be exploring opportunities. So if an opportunity came up, he would look at it, but he certainly hasn't asked out of Hawthorn yet. And I don't think he's agreed to be completely part of this deal yet, as we sit here recording now, but he's certainly open to the opportunity last I checked. So it's certainly it's a potential move for him.
Well, it's hard to see him fitting into that, that Hawthorn scenario. It's certainly if Zack Merritt goes as well. So it might be an opportunity for him to get some serious game time, and we can find out whether he's the player that, the Hawks probably thought he was going to be early.
we'll be monitoring Essendon.
Are you taking it, Ed? Are you
Come on,
taking
Ed,
this deal? Come on.
Put your hat on.
I'm not taking the deal because I don't think that
No deal.
I don't think that Henry Huswaite has
No.
full trade currency, and that doesn't say that he might not go on to be a very effective,
Which he could.
centre bounce midfielder at senior
Absolutely.
level. But it's just the market for inside midfielders at the moment. It's been very muted. Like there's not a lot of interest, and even though he's got a year on his deal, I don't know whether he's worth much more than third or fourth round.
So no deal from you. What would it take if you're sitting in Essendon's chair? What sort of player would it take?
If I'm the president, Andrew Welsh, after his really strong stance the last couple
Well
of weeks, I'm worried about my
The
credibility.
$400 million
Great read
man.
with Mick Warner. Fantastic.
What are you worried about?
I'm worried about my credibility as
Right.
the new president because he's staked quite a lot on not trading Zack Merritt. I think you really do need an unexpected, pleasant surprise for Bombers fans in the form of a star player. Or
You can't lose on the deal, can you, in a lot of ways? You really can't lose on the deal because you hold all the aces in the sense that you don't have to allow this trade to go through. Are you guys confident that if Zack Merritt remains an Essendon player, that he could get through a year, no problem, play 25 games as he usually, 24 games as he usually does, and still have a really good, output as well?
I don't see why not, because to a form this year he was disgruntled. He was meeting with people every second week, and obviously that wasn't great optics, but that's what he does all the time. Even when he was supposedly all in leading into now, he often meets with people and discusses how to get better. So I don't think he's going to be throwing toys out of the cotton, blowing up the joint next year. I think he's a professional. He always prides himself on his professionalism almost above anything else. So I can't see him destroying the club in the next 12 months. I think we'll probably get to this stage in September next year and we'll hear again that he's met with somebody and we'll restart the cycle. But I don't think it would be an issue once we get to sort of May, June next year.
I think he can be a very effective player for them, but outside of the realms of the leadership group. I don't think you'll have the burden of a leadership
I think
group.
we'll have a new leader.
Charlie when he's
Curnow.
seventh best and fairest for the way things usually
Well,
go,
and then
yeah.
he equals the record, the Essendon record, so he gets to do that with, Dick Reynolds and Bill Hutchison. That would be something, wouldn't it?
That'd be very good for the trade value next
Yeah,
year.
absolutely.
Charlie Curnow's the next deal, and Carlton and Sydney, two clubs that have been speaking to each other a little bit. With Geelong came in with the first offer for Curnow, the 3 first-round picks that were all sort of, you could look at them as early 20s picks spread over a bit. Geelong haven't come back with an improved offer since, from what we know, but Sydney have put something on the table today. Do Carlton need to see more, and how important? We saw the Swans want to pick back. It looks like it's that pick 22, the compensation pick for Jack Silvani. Is that going to be a sticking point for the Blues?
Absolutely. So the deal, as reported by Lockie McCurdy this afternoon, was Will Hayward, Ollie Florent, pick 11, and 2026 first for Charlie Curnow, and pick 22 coming back the other way. I don't see how that's at all possible to get that deal done. Florent is a salary dump from Sydney. They're happy to get rid of him, so I don't think that's good on Carlton's respect. So I think that's bad optics to start with. That pick 22 could essentially be the same as that 2026 round one if we assume Sydney's going to get better and finish in the top 4 potentially with a Charlie Curnow. It's going to be very similar. So you're basically coming out neutral on that. So I don't think that's possible. That pick has to go back a long way or almost be gotten rid of. And similar to the Essendon deal, if I am Carlton, I'm saying, as I would be saying to Essendon, to Hawthorn, you can't give me your own future first. That's not good enough in this situation because I know you're probably going to be playing finals and even beyond that with Charlie Curnow. So you need to find me a team's first that isn't going to be playing finals because I don't want to end up out of this deal. We look back at it in 2 years and they've got pick 11 and pick 17 and a guy that wasn't in your team and Will Hayward. It's not a great deal on that respect.
You make a good point that that's the same situation with Hawthorn. There's a lot of work to be done.
Too.
And Geelong too. We're running out of time in that situation. I love the fact that they only start talking about now. We know they sort of have to, but you think you'd probably get it done a bit sooner, couldn't you?
Yeah. So are you turning down that deal?
I am,
What are you
because I'm
asking
hoping
for
I
if
can
you're
get
Carlton?
more. I'm just hoping I can get more. I'm not sure that I'm that interested in Ollie Florent. That's nothing. At his best, he's been a really good player, but we know that he'd fallen out of the Sydney team. He'd fallen out of favour. So
And the factor you take on there is a 5-year contract. You're taking a contract
That's it.
No, that's 4 years until
That's
the end
it.
of 2029. That's
I like
a lot
Will
for a
Hayward.
player
I
you
like,
might not
I like that. I like that scenario. But you make a good point about the 2026. Like if Sydney get Charlie Curnow, they are automatically a top 8 team. I think they are anyway. Even without Charlie Curnow, I think they'll lift next year. But with Charlie Curnow in the team, that's a top 6, top 4 sort of side, I think, as well. So it does dilute that. Yeah. So I think I think you make a good point. I think it needs more.
Yeah. Thoughts, Ed?
I think Carlton are doing the right thing by trying to flesh out the depth of their team, the outside roles, the kicking sort of spots, which they looked very shallow in last season. But you do worry. I think that they'd take Florent and Hayward in this package. And I think Florent can be an effective player. I'm not sure if the contract length ends up worrying them too much. If he can be a first choice halfback or wingman and have a bit of an impact. But yeah, it's that other pick that's been thrown in, the Silvani compo pick.
Yep.
If they can turn that into giving back pick 50 or 60, something in the third or fourth round, it might be a bit more palatable for them.
Yeah, and I think that probably requires an extra pick, maybe even coming in from Sydney, whether that's an extra second rounder or something. But that's at the moment, that's what we're seeing from those clubs, as I mentioned. And they're not willing at the moment. It's just first offers. They're not willing to get other first round picks to throw
Window
into
shopping,
deals.
really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's
So
late window shopping.
we're 30 hours out, so I think it is the time to send you back. And why would you accept a deal 30 hours before the deadline?
Yeah, like
That's when
who
you have
does
to send
that?
them
Like
back.
particularly with these two trades are big trades. We'll remember these in 10 or
They're
15 years' time.
club-shaping trades,
They
so
are
they have to nail
club-shaping
them.
trades. They're coach making or coach losing trades in a lot of ways. And I think you make a good point about the president. Andrew Welsh, he needs to win this somehow. They've got a lot of work to do over the next 2 to 3 years. He needs to somehow come out of this, either with Zack Merritt there playing effective footy or getting enough to make up for losing, a guy who's a club legend's probably too strong a word, but a club great.
Yeah, and you say coach shaping at Carlton. If
100%.
If a form of this trade did go through tomorrow, Charlie Curnow goes out, Florent and Hayward come in. Michael Voss is coaching for his career next season with possibly 8 or 9 players in the best 23 that weren't there the season before. That would be incredibly hard for him to bed down and get something stable together early in the season while he's fighting for his job.
And he's made
Absolutely.
another team that's trying to get into the 8 better at
Yeah,
the same
absolutely.
time. So he needs to make finals to survive. I think we're all accepting that. But he's put Sydney closer to the top 8 as well as trying to improve his own side. That doesn't help his cause.
There's a couple of fringe sort of deals that are going down. The Swans have been a bit slow getting this Jack Buller deal done with...
What's going on, Ed?
Collingwood.
I thought this
Let's
one
get
would
to the
be
bottom
easy.
of it.
There's been a pick swap today. Collingwood have got their hands
Yeah.
on picks 45 and 56. You'd expect that one of them gets exchanged for Buller, but there's just been a bit of an impasse between the Swans and the Magpies over the value of Jack Buller, who hasn't
This
played...
should have, in fairness, this should have been done a while ago, shouldn't it? It's been.
I would have
I know
thought
it
so.
caught the Swans off guard, but
Yeah, well, it wasn't one of the deals where I was expecting another deal to need to go through to get
No.
it moving. And it's the same with this trade between Sydney and Hawthorn for Jai Sarong, which is linked to it. So the Swans had pick 51. It's possible that wasn't enough for the Hawks. That remains to be seen, but maybe one of the picks in this Buller deal gets traded on to the Hawks for Sarong. So that's 2 trades that will happen in quick succession once the 2 teams have settled on the price of Buller and the price of Sarong, which we think will be roughly similar given that Sarong didn't get a game this year for Hawthorn.
Yeah, I would think they're pretty similar. I mean, they could just work it as a 3-teamer almost. They could just
get it done.
get that
Yeah.
rotating and get that done. But usually you sort of say they're waiting on the big dogs, Ed, but this one they're waiting on the littler ones by the sounds of it.
I reckon, Barnesy, what they need to do is to incentive to get trades done early. I reckon clubs should get something extra for getting the trades done early.
Yeah.
Scrap
Whether
the
it's
free agency compensation
Yeah.
pick and hand them out to clubs who get deals done.
Get them
paperwork
done
really
early,
neatly
throw
lodged.
in an extra rookie pick or whatever. Let's just throw a little bit of incentive out there, I
Yeah,
reckon.
well, we saw on the first day of the trade period, the order managers came in, or the list managers, and Gubby Allen walked out with a banh mi. Maybe
Yep.
if they offered up better catering at Marvel,
There
they
you
would get
go.
the list managers in
There
there,
you
get
go.
your deals done. You can all walk
Get
out
it
with
done.
some cupcakes or something. Maybe that would get these deals over the line and give us something to write about.
Got some exclusive contract news for you as well. I've been monitoring James Tunstall really closely at Brisbane as a 2-way midfielder who a few clubs could be interested in. He's
Emergency for the premiership team.
he's about to recommit to the Lions, so he's signing on for a 1-year deal. That takes him off the table for West Coast. He's West Australian. The Eagles have been having a look around, as they have with a number of midfielders.
They've had a crack, the Eagles, haven't they? Haven't really hit too much, but they've certainly had a crack.
They should bring Dev Robertson in as a delisted free agent, it looks like. But Tunstall will stay at the Lions next season, the reigning premier. Another one, Chankwath Jath, has popped up today.
Yeah.
It might be a deal that springs up tomorrow, not in Hawthorn's best 23. It was the sub 6 times during the season. It looks like the Demons might have a bit of interest, Macca. What do you
Yeah,
think of that?
there's a little bit of interest there, and I think it'd be a good move. I think his problem at Hawthorn is he's just got so many of that type of player, haven't they? In that sense, the Hawks are happy to keep him if it doesn't work out. And having spoken to them, they're happy to keep CJ if it doesn't quite work out. But they also see the opportunity for him that he wants to play regular senior footy. We know the battles he's had with his body. He's sort of hopefully getting over that now. But I think the Demons would be a reasonable fit there.
Yeah, of all the potential suitors, it's probably not a surprise that the Demons are the ones who've entered the game.
Yep.
In round 9, that was his best performance for the season. He ran
there you
through
go.
the
He
did.
midfield, 25 disposals. He had 6 inside 50s and 6 rebound 50s. He was
Timed it
everywhere.
well.
So funny how that happens, isn't it? Clubs never forget if you have a really good game against them. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it counts for more than having a really good game against a rival. Now, Nathan Buckley has become an assistant coach at Geelong. Wasn't on our radar going into the day. What do we think of this move?
As I said to someone at Geelong, I said, well, you always expect some blockbuster name to emerge late in the trade period. I wasn't expecting Nathan Buckley to emerge as a potential in for Geelong. It just dropped out of nowhere, really, on Tuesday afternoon that he's joining Geelong, replacing Stephen King on the coaching panel at Geelong. Interestingly, that was the job that Buckley essentially evaporated away from after we all thought he was going to get it at Melbourne. He's on a 1-year deal at Geelong. And he has an option.
Why do you reckon he's on a 1-year deal, Barnes?
He and the club both have a contract option for 2027.
Yep.
But I think it is pretty well respected by he and Geelong
sure he'll
that
be
he
there.
will not take that up because he will be heading towards Tasmania. I think that is the indication. Now, Geelong took him on board happy in the knowledge they're going to help him towards Tassie while also getting 12 months of knowledge out of him.
Yeah.
And this gets him back in a clubland back.
I think it's a unique opportunity for everyone involved, and it's a win-win for everyone involved. It gets him back into the cut and thrust of it, really does. Like, he's been out of it for a while now, back end of or mid-year 2021, so he's been out of it. Not that, being a part of the media has been completely out of it, but getting back into that cut and thrust, and for whatever the challenge comes next, we know what that challenge might be. So I think this is a win-win for Tasmania if he eventually becomes the coach of Tasmania. It's a win for Geelong, and importantly, it's a win for Nathan Buckley. He has got the eye of the tiger back. He wants that coaching scenario there. So I think it's a great move. I was stunned by it. I had to check to see whether it was. There's been
like April Fool's or
a
something.
few fake racing Twitter accounts going around, and I thought surely someone hasn't made this up. But I think it's a great move.
That
And
was
most
absolutely
importantly, for those of us who do AFL shows sitting on couches, you will stay on the couch next year, which is
absolutely.
Which is good
So
news for
still
Fox
a bit of media, which I think is really good, and but importantly, getting his hands dirty in a coaching front as well, I think is great.
Yeah, it shows in these hiring processes you'd much rather be a highly rated assistant coach than a highly rated non-assistant coach, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. And interestingly, Geelong sought him out. I think they'd sort of heard that Bucks was interested in coaching and went straight to him, and he agreed. So I think it is a win-win-win. It's a win for Geelong, for Tassie, and for Fox Footy. So
Yeah, absolutely.
everybody wins out of this one.
Was one of those tweets where I did have to click on
gotta
the
double
Geelong
check.
Cats
How
logo.
How
to
many
make sure it
followers
was
have they got? Absolutely, because as I say, there's been a bit of racing, having delved into a bit of racing in recent times. The last week's been, there's been a few. Poor old Ray Thomas got, there was a fake Ray Thomas account there as well. So I had to double check, but they had a lot of followers, this Geelong Footy Club account, so I assumed it was the right one.
Yeah. Verified and confirmed Nathan Buckley to the Cats
Definitely.
in 2026.
Before the deadline too, which is handy.
Before the deadline, yes.
Interesting timing on a memo from the AFL today to clubs saying that Taran Thomas, the former North Melbourne player, is going to be eligible to be taken in the draft or as a free agent. Now, he wasn't able to be picked up by a VFL club in the end last season. He also had a look at the Waffle. Swans districts were considering him, then backed out. It's been a challenging situation for clubs weighing this up. And there's a lot to be discussed on whether Thomas should get another chance at the top level. But it's interesting that the AFL cleared a path for him this week.
Yeah, so we'd been waiting this whole time that as soon as he was, I guess, banned and deregistered by the AFL, he wasn't able to play, as you said, at any level. That includes local footy even, until the AFL reinstated him. So that was obviously only very recently. Clubs are only told about it today. So that means he can play even local footy now. He's gone through a lot of difficulties and put a lot of other people through a lot of difficulties, but it's interesting how this will shape out now. He can be taken up by any club. He'll just be a free agent, I guess, on the market. So he can be a summer signing, I believe. And that seems to be the most likely path to the AFL is if he trains over summer with somebody and gets snapped up in the summer signing period. But there's still going to be a lot to play out in Taran Thomas.
Yeah, that's a process where you just wonder if a club goes in for him, are they forgetting sponsors, stakeholders, women's teams? There are going to be a lot of reasons not to pursue Taran Thomas, and it feels like it would be more appropriate for him to try and get his way back through local football first. But it's interesting now, and that's definitely one to watch that eligibility has been cleared.
We did see that with the Northern Bullants and Swan districts as well.
The backlash was quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, very quick, very swift, and I think there's still a fair way to go.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of backlash already today online at the AFL for allowing him to play. I don't think that's completely fair.
No,
I
I
think
don't
it's,
either.
It's reasonable if they believe he's ticked off whatever he needs to tick off to say that he can play. And I don't think you can ban somebody for life for what he's done.
No.
But now it is up to the clubs to weigh up whether it's in their best interest. And I'm not sure.
I think it's unlikely at this stage, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely that a club would take that risk on him. But we've seen anybody with talent at that level, clubs will always, I guess, have a look at it.
Yeah, certainly something that would raise eyebrows this summer. Now, we're coming through to the last day of the trade period. Last year, Jacob Constanti was on no one's radar, and then maybe in the last 20 minutes on the Wednesday night.
I reckon about 4:30 on Wednesday, somebody mentioned him for the first time, and then suddenly he was in a trade.
Who's this year's Jacob Constanti?
That's what I wanted to ask you too. Anyone on your radar? Someone who might pop up in the final hours as the light fades on trade period. Is there anyone who's going to enter the frame?
That is a tough question.
Tough.
I've seen Ted Kaihisi's name mentioned from Geelong a couple of times.
There
lately.
you go.
He
That's
has
a good
interest
one.
across the board.
I like
Quite
that.
a good young player. I think a guy, sticking with Geelong, a guy like George Stevens hasn't been talked about a lot.
So they've got
He's
a
out
few
of
players
contract.
like that, the Cats, haven't
Yeah.
they, that you could potentially look at who just can't quite nail a full-time spot. And it's those teams. Brisbane, can you get someone out of Brisbane? It's hard, though, because
Can't get
everyone wants to
James
stay.
Tunstall.
Everyone wants to stay at Brisbane. So it's really difficult to get those players.
I'm sure I haven't been able to pin it on a club, but surely someone has thrown money at Jasper Fletcher and said, Jasper, have all our money. Yeah, our best
It's just
kids."
hard. You think about 6, 7, 8 years, well, longer. But you go back to 2016 and everyone wanted to, you had everyone wanting to leave Brisbane. Now, of course, Starcevic goes for a life-changing sort of decision there to go back home, and also, potentially Cal Archie as well. No one else really wants to leave. It's very hard to prize them out. So.
Gone from the go home 5 to the stay at home,
Yeah.
stay away from home 23.
23, exactly.
I'm looking forward to the names that we'll get out of that we don't even know about. So, 2014, we found about 2 months later that there was an offer of pick 4 for Steve Johnson that
There
came
you
through.
go. Where
Geelong-
was he? Where was he away?
He was playing golf in the United States. They couldn't get a hold of him, I believe, at the time.
no.
I think Geelong probably would have been
What could
interested in
possibly
doing
go
it
wrong?
for pick 4. Didn't happen in the end, and 2 years later he went to GWS for a much lower price. I think he might have even been a free agent back then. Ryan Burton was over in the US one year. Got a call from Clarko saying, we're putting you on the trade table for Port
Still not
Adelaide.
happy about that. He wanted to stay, right?
Yeah,
So-
for Chad Wingard, that deal didn't really work out for Hawthorn either. That didn't come through. I mean, Lekalia this year was told, I assume, via correspondence that St Kilda is no longer interested while he was in Spain.
Yeah, that would have been the hardest. You think I don't know whether you bought a house in Melbourne, but you're probably looking to buy a place in Melbourne. All of a sudden, that money's gone. So, and it looks more and more like North Melbourne have obviously pulled out there. Looks more and more like he will stay on a much reduced figure at GWS at this stage too. Barnes.
Hopefully he didn't start the mortgage because those repayments will be hitting him hard.
not good.
Even the Sydney guys, I think Ollie Flynn and Will Hayward might be in Brazil at the moment.
On
So
separate trips, I've heard.
Yeah.
Oh,
so they
really?
might have to meet up and
you
nut
go.
out a trade themselves. It's interesting. If you normally you think you're safe if you're a guy like Ollie Flynn with a deal for 4 years, so I can go to Brazil for a little holiday, but you never know when your name will get chucked in at the last minute.
No. Fun and games, hey? We've got it all to look forward to.
We do. There's a lot to play out. Just coming up to 24 hours left in the trade period. You can follow along all our coverage on the Herald Sun and Code Sports websites. Macca, Barnesy, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Got one big day to go, one final push.
Nearly
Let's
there,
get it
boys.
done.
We're nearly there.
Yeah.
Keep pushing.
Let's get it done. Happy trading, everyone.